and the rest of the world. How have you guys been behaving since the last time I saw you? 23 hours ago? Have you been on your P's and Q's, doing everything you could to be nice to everybody? Tell you what, good morning, pilgrims. My name is George, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Good Day Grenada. I keep glancing off here to my right. Want to see who's going to be first up this morning, you know? And the answer is Chester Simon. Chester's all the way out there in Zurich, Switzerland, all the way across the pond. He wins the prize today. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us. Well, my dear friends, I'll tell you what. We have a very simple rundown for you this morning. Very, very simple rundown. But I think it's one that's going to be appealing to you. First of all, last night I published a story on the Grenada Broadcast.com website. It's an opinion piece that was written by Beverly Sinclair. You know Beverly, producer of MECWE Chat, which, by the way, is on tonight. I'll tell you a bit about that in a minute. Beverly has been keeping her eyes on things, and she wrote a piece which is captioned, "No, no, Mr. Prime Minister. No, no, Mr. Prime Minister." I'm going to share that with you in just a few minutes. And by the way, yes, I was telling you guys about MECWE Chat tonight. Let me see here. Tonight, MECWE Chat is going to be dealing, yes, here it is. They're going to be discussing where has the Dominica CBI money gone? That's one. Two, a lawless society, examining what the Grenadian Prime Minister said. And by the way, that's what the article I was just telling you about is all about. And carnival season winding down or going down? That's a question that Beverly is going to ask tonight, try to get some answers. By the way, Chester's there. Peter Bishop is in back and forth, back and forth. Yesterday he was in Brooklyn. This morning he's in Long Island. God, tomorrow, Queens, huh? Benedict Cador says it's a thriving Thursday. And TF is saying, good morning, family. Good to see you guys. Thanks a lot for coming in. Anyhow, so let's get back here to the rundown. Yes, after we bring you Beverly's piece, we do have the national report for you. That came in last night, and it's all queued up here and ready to go. And then, good morning, Margaret. Margaret is sneaking in. I'm waiting to see the day when she's the first. Hey, Mags Chester beat the stuffing out of you this morning. Anyhow, yesterday I ran a piece from Sunday's program. Was it yesterday? I think so. With Frank Bernardine. And apparently that caught the attention of a lot of people. And they were asking, well, where's the rest of it? Georgie Porgy heard you. And unfortunately, he's not going to be able to run the whole thing. But he will run another excerpt from Franca's discussion with me on Sunday morning. Okay? So that's going to be the segment where normally we would have a good friend, Alan Bashinsky. But as you know, Alan's on the road, told you so. And he's not going to be back with us until sometime after the 17th of this month. So there you go. Now, if you notice me looking a lot off to my left this morning, is because my good old teleprompter For some reason, the Bluetooth is not connecting this morning to a teleprompter. So, to you too. So, I do not have my teleprompter this morning, so I have to read the stuff off the monitor here, off to my left. Let's get into the piece that was written by Beverly. Freelance journalist Beverly Sinclair has been keeping an eye on things. And she penned this opinion piece, which I told you I published last night on GrenadaBroadcast.com. I quote, "For the Prime Minister of Grenada, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, to declare nationally and internationally that one, he broke the law to do what he thinks is morally right, and two, that the Commissioner of Police cannot tell him what to do. He is institutionalizing lawlessness and placing himself and/or the office of the Prime Minister above the law. The state of Grenada is under the powers of a constitution, and that constitution does not place anyone or any office above the law. Therefore, the Prime Minister, as head of government, should be seeking to uphold the tenets of the Constitution and every law of the land. He is, instead, misusing the privileges of the office of the Prime Minister and displaying contempt for the Constitution, which gives the people of the country the right to let him serve. You are a servant of the people, sir, not a master. And you cannot make up the rules as you go along. The country is not ruled by decree, but by laws. The Prime Minister does not have the right to break the law for any reason whatsoever. And if he does, he should be held accountable, just like every other citizen. The law that he has broken is that workers within the public service must take their vacation, or when it accumulates over a period of time, they will lose it. There are no exceptions. No worker is to be paid for vacation while on the job. That's the law. The Prime Minister said so. But he proceeds to say he broke the law because the 14 members of his security detail and the head of the Financial Intelligence Unit cannot go on vacation. And it would be morally wrong for them to lose their vacation. So, he decided they should be paid contrary to the law. In addition to breaking the law, the Prime Minister has also displayed 100% mistrust in the Commissioner of Police, whom he has chosen. The Constitution gives the right to the Prime Minister to select the person to be appointed Chief of Police. And if he does not trust the person he has selected, then an explanation is needed, or that person should be replaced. Who better than the Commissioner of Police would know the strengths and weaknesses of the members of the Royal Grenada Police Force to choose a proper team for the personal security of the Prime Minister. And if the Prime Minister cannot trust the Commissioner with that task, then does he trust the Commissioner of Police to secure the rest of the nation? Or why should the rest of the nation trust the Commissioner with their lives and safety if the Prime Minister doesn't? Or is it that the Prime Minister is unlike the rest of the population and is the Napoleon of George Orwell's Animal Farm? All animals are equal, but some more equal than others. How can law enforcement officers then seek to apprehend anyone else in this country who decides to break the law if they have a justifiable reason for so doing? The precedent has been set, and if the Prime Minister can do it, then the door is open for anyone to do it. This cannot be a land of do as I say, but not as I do. Grenada must be a country of laws, not a country of men. Laws are made in Parliament where the Prime Minister is a member. And if he believes there's a law which is detrimental to public workers, then table an amendment to allow for it, allow for the requisite discussion and changes. This would, of course, have its own complications as far as management of the public sector is concerned, but that would be the action to take if there is need for changing the law. The Cabinet, singularly or collectively under the Constitution, does not have authority to make or change laws. The Prime Minister, in the same breath, when he announced that he has taken the law into his own hands and broken it, is calling on carnival revelers to party within the law, calling on the same police officers that he does not trust to enforce the laws that will reduce the lewdness in carnival celebrations. Does he trust that the police officers will carry out their duties as they should? Or that revelers will obey the law that he chooses to break at will? There is always a bigger picture, and when the floodgate of lawlessness has been opened, there is no turning back. If lawlessness is institutionalized by the head of government, the state of Grenada is descending into a place where it will become unmanageable. People in positions of authority and leadership must first demonstrate that they have respect for laws and institutions which have been put in place for democracy to function. If, at the level where leadership is expected, people are doing as they please, then from where do the examples come for the rest of society? Okay, folks, that was the text of an opinion piece written by Beverly Sinclair, who, by the way, is going to be with us here tonight at 8 o'clock. And that's published on the GrenadaBroadcast.com website. Let me take a quick look here. and say good morning to you folks. Who day, who day, who day. Jackie O saying happy Friday Eve. Happy Friday Eve. Hi, happy Friday Eve, Jackie O. Fitzroy Adams is there. Good morning and God's blessings to all. Never thought I would live to see the day when you make enemies by speaking the truth. So says Kipling. Hello, Kippy. T.F. Richard says, wonderful piece written by Beverly, but it brings me to two things. They are, firstly, Grenada is no longer being ruled by law on paper, but by the laws and fancies of Keith Mugabe Mitchell. And secondly, I hope that we can remember the speech in New York, Prime Minister Gonzalez, on powers of the Prime Minister. Well, Gonzalez gave the theory, and Keith is giving the practical lesson. God help us all. You folks, try and join us tonight. 8 o'clock. And Paley Darbo is saying good morning. Alrighty, folks, 16 minutes after the hour. Take a little break here. And by the way, after the national report, we will get to that segment with Frank and Bernadine. Hang in there.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and the Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
GRENLEC Community Partnership Initiative, supporting health.
To the individuals who will be using these vehicles to serve the people, please ensure while we are using these tools that we use these tools in a manner that we will all be proud of. To GRENLEC, a long-standing partner with us, a true testament of what can happen when private and public sector work together for the benefit of the people.
GRENLEC, energizing our community.
Studying too hard about back-to-school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
Conveniently located in the Grand Anse Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grand Anse will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep,
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Alrighty, folks, we have now been joined by Oswin Lewis. She's watching in New York. And Jackie O says it's very relaxing to listen to this program while at work. Oh, Jackie, so you too, you've joined our friend Margaret, because so does she. Guys, we really appreciate your company and couldn't do without it, but please, don't get caught. Okay? National Report.
Passengers and crew safe after private aircraft veers off runway in Carriacou. We'll have details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Wednesday, August 7th, I am Rikisha St. Louis. 3 passengers and 1 crew member who were on board a private aircraft which veered off the runway in Carriacou on Wednesday are reported to all be safe. A press release from the Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation says the 4 were transported to the Princess Royal Hospital for observation and no injuries were reported and they have all been discharged. Initial reports indicate that the Cessna 421, which was flying from Piarco International Airport in Trinidad to Lauriston Airport in Carriacou, stopped about 120 feet east of the end of the runway. The aircraft sustained substantial airframe damage. The press release from the ministry adds that the Lauriston Airport is currently closed pending the arrival of inspectors from the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority to conduct their investigation into the accident. It says the Grenada Airports Authority is cooperating with the Eastern Caribbean authorities to ensure that the process is conducted smoothly and to facilitate the reopening of the airport in the shortest possible time. A call for increased collaboration to ensure an even better Carriacou Regatta Festival next year and beyond. The call was made by Honorable Kendra Mathurin Stewart, Parliamentary Representative for Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs. She says despite a notable improvement, there is more that can be done to enhance the quality of the festival going forward.
We are endeavoring to ensure that the changes made are those that are positive and of course that it will impact positively on the growth and development of all festivals. The Carriacou Regatta Festival, like all other public and national festivals, is a significant one for our small island. We all can appreciate the economic value that is associated with a festival such like this. The businesses, the vendors, the hoteliers, the restaurants, everyone look forward to anticipation of financial gains from this festival. As we reflect on the Carriacou Regatta Festival over the years, we see that we have come a long way, but as you may appreciate, we still have a long way to go.
Seafaring and the traditional boat racing took center stage at the 4-day festival held under the theme Chart Your Course. There were participation from Windward, Antigua, Bequia, Canoan, Mairo, Grenada and Petite Martinique in over 5 categories, Optimist Laser, Open Boat and Round the Island Boat Race. Chair of the festival committee, Alison Caton, praised the residents of Carriacou who contributed to the festival.
Even this year, we started a grassroots program called Be a Friend of the Regatta. And we were so happy with the outcome of that because just anyone in the street, people gave us as little as $5. And we still thank them. We thank them publicly on Facebook because if all you have is $10 and you give $5, that's a big deal. So we appreciate all of the efforts.
This year, the committee awarded 4 long-standing boatmen who contributed towards the festival over the years. Zephyrin McLaurin, Gordon Patrice and Jassy Crompton were awarded posthumously. The only surviving award recipient, Alwyn Eno, a well-known boat builder in Carriacou, this year had 3 of the boats he constructed in competition. Here are some highlights of the 2019 festival. This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Every summer, the Spice Island of Grenada is transformed into the Caribbean's biggest party, Spice Man.
Coming down to Grenada.
Come experience the warmth of our people, trending theme fats, the revelry, the pageantry, and why we are the Jab Nation. The Kids Our Future shines on August 3rd in the Children's Carnival Frolic and the Junior Calypso Show. 7 beauties take center stage as the Queen of Carnival is crowned on majestic Thursday, August 8th. The prestigious Soca and Groovy Monarchs are crowned on Carnival Friday night, August 9th. Enjoy the pulsating rhythms of the Still Pan at the Junior and the Senior Panorama on Carnival Saturday, August 10th, and Real Steel, August 17th. The March Gras crowns the Calypso Monarch on Carnival Sunday, August 11th. 2 days of frolicking in the Caribbean sun kicks off on Monday morning, August 12th, with the biggest Juve in the world. Followed by pageant and Monday night mass. The creativity and splendor of our mass parades on the road Carnival Tuesday, August 13th. Join us in the Jab Nation of Grenada, August 8 to 12 for Spice Mass 2019. Many events, one carnival.
Welcome back. Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, received an update Wednesday from the chairman and members of the Board of Directors of the Grenada Ports Authority, GPA. Chairman Ron Antwine indicated that the ports are doing reasonably well and the authority is continuing to invest in the upgrading of operating equipment to facilitate increased efficiency and safety in port operations. Additionally, the GPA has bolstered the security at the Grenville port, installing surveillance cameras and building a full boundary wall that encloses the facility. On the labor front, the GPA is currently in negotiations with the Technical and Allied Workers Union, and this is progressing smoothly. In addition to its own operations, the GPA has also invested in the St. George's Bus Terminus, improving the infrastructure and providing for the increased safety of persons who use the facility daily. Having been apprised of these developments, the Prime Minister commended the board for its work and acknowledged that it is one of the better managed authorities in Grenada. Dr. Mitchell encouraged board members to see their work not merely in terms of port operations, but from the broader perspective of impact on the country's overall development. The Royal Grenada Police Force is concerned about the level of indiscretion displayed on the nation's roads, resulting in more than 530 accidents so far this year being attributed to persons driving without due care and attention. Excessive speeding is also an area of concern for the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force, and 376 tickets for this offence has been issued so far this year. More than 100 speeding tickets were issued to drivers in the last month alone. Officer in charge of the RGPF's Traffic Department, Superintendent Randy Connaught, says his team is continuing its work to help curb this problem that often places drivers in dangerous situations.
Just to give you an example of the figures for the tickets issued within the past month for speeding has been 110 tickets thus far. We have also seen an increase in persons driving without being the holders of driver's license, and within the past month again, over 30 persons were arrested for that offense. So the law enforcement efforts have been significant, and we're pressing on and looking forward to the cooperation of not just the general public but the media in ensuring that those matters are highlighted, and we bring to bear the full force of the law for persons found in violation of the law.
Acting Commissioner of Police Edwin Martin says the numbers are not comforting. Disclosing the total number of accidents so far for 2019, the Acting Commissioner revealed that males are accounting for a greater percentage of the accident statistics.
Total reported accidents for the period January to June 2019 was 1,175, an increase from 1,130 for the same period of 2018. From this table, you will see that the major age group involved in these offenses are between 26 and 45. This speaks to the number of persons in that age group involved in accidents. And you can also see that males are the major contributing factor to offenses. You can scroll up a little bit. Males are the major contributing, where you have 1,245 males involved in accidents as against 474 females. Now you might want to ask how you see 1,245 males in accidents, but you only have 1,175 accidents. Remember, an accident generally might be two vehicles, and sometimes we have accidents that involve multiple vehicles. All right, so I wanted to make that point clear.
That story just ended the national report for today, Wednesday, August 7th. Let's recap the top story. Passengers and crew safe after private aircraft veers off runway in Carriacou. On behalf of the entire news team, I am Rikisha St. Louis, saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Jackie O, see how relaxed I am? All right, a few comments here on the GIS. First of all, Kipling says, if only government would put the same amount of emphasis on health and welfare of the people as they do on fetes and parties, this country would surely benefit. John Bruno says, I'm very proud of the effort made by the Regatta Committee. They stood strong to make this event a success despite the efforts of the government-run festival committee to muddy the waters. Oh boy, that's not news to us, John. I mean, they've destroyed our institutions already. Why not the little that's left? He also goes on to say here, petty politics have stifled the growth of the regatta. We all know that. We all know that. John says, Carriacou Regatta. There were more Optimist Junior dinghies than local boats racing, sadly. John, at least, yes, I have heard that this year's event was an improvement over last year, and hopefully this year was a turning point. And from here on, okay? Arthur Langine's checking in, and Michelle Forsyth made a comment here, and I think this is in response to something T.F. Richards said earlier on about the Prime Minister of St. Vincent Gonzalez. Michelle says, pay attention to Gonzalez's behavior. Keith Mitchell pales in comparison. Margaret. You know, the reason why I'm chuckling here is because when I saw this comment, I'm looking at Margaret and could just see the expression on her face as she made this comment. She says here, kind of lost here. I thought was the man who built the boat was coming to talk. GIS. Sigh. Yeah, Mags. All right, folks, we'll get to Franco Bernardine right after this.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Studying too hard about back-to-school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
We are honored to partner with the Grenada Schools, Inc., the Ministry of Education, and the Caliste Government School in providing this library. GCPI program put $120,000 or 66% of the cost of the library. But it's not an investment that is intended to bring a financial return. It is an investment in the human capital of our youth in Grenada.
Grenlec has shown us their seriousness about partnership, their seriousness about education, and their seriousness about nation building. That local partnership tells our major donors that Grenada is interested.
We have got a big vision at Grenada Schools. We believe that what we can do is, through literacy, have the most literate country in the Caribbean. We are very happy that you've got this gift from ourselves and from Grenlec.
We see this library as a unique and valuable resource. One of the best things about receiving this library is that it honors and recognizes the efforts and contributions of a company like Grenlec and Grenada Schools Incorporated.
Since 1994, Grenlec shareholders have invested over $22 million. This has been invested in the communities throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. We hope this library will serve the students and school well for many years to come.
Alrighty, folks, before I get into Frank, a couple of comments here. First of all, John in Carriacou says, the turning point will only be when the government keep their noses out of the likes of the regatta. Yes, John, the world agrees with you. The world does. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Sharon says, George, I have an idea. Instead of bringing the NNP report, Margaret, it's called the GIS, Government Information Service National Report. Instead of bringing the NNP report, says Sharon, you can do a segment of you the people talking to the man on the street. Sharon, you know only too well why that has not materialized yet. Okay? It's something I'm ardently working on. And you're not the only person, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday or a day before, somebody else made that suggestion as well. So yes, it's coming. It's just a matter of time. Bear with me, please. I need some wheels, okay? There's also another comment here. She's asking, George, when will you join us on the early morning beach run? I think you meant run, the beach run. Didn't mean rum. 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, nah. Mark, Sharon, you know something? The thought occurred to me that maybe over the long weekend coming up, I don't know, maybe. But then again, do you want to be on the beach on Monday? All them no, but this would be before the jabs hit the beach, wouldn't it? Let's stop. Okay, folks, here we go. Yesterday, or this week, we ran a piece from that program we did on Sunday with former Senator, former Education Minister, Franca Bernardine. And you folks were obviously moved by what you saw and have been on my case since because you felt I should have run more. I only ran, I think, a 10 or 11-minute piece. Well, there's a lot more that this lady said. Can't run the whole thing for you. It's up on the GrenadaBroadcast.com website. If you go into the archive for Sundays with George Grant, you'll find it there. You can listen to it in its entirety. But this morning, I'm going to run another segment, which this piece is only about 33 minutes, I think. But if you listen carefully, what I really, really like about this is that it provides you with an opportunity to get into this lady's head and understand where she's coming from. I don't think many of us take the time to do that. But you should, we should. And that's what I'm doing here. Franca Bernardine. Let's get right into it, Franca. You know, a lot has transpired since last we spoke. And as a former senator, a former minister, I want you to take a seat, take a deep breath, and sort of do a brief assessment of where we are right now, an assessment of the conditions that are prevailing in this beautiful little land of ours.
Grenada has never been a quiet place as far as I can see, George. There is always something in the pot boiling, you know? And certainly under this present government, there is always controversy, always concern, always issues and so on. But so that I want to point out right from the very start, and I'm glad you raised it, I'm really here to comment in my capacity as a Grenadian, and a concerned and patriotic Grenadian, and a former senator and minister. So the perspectives are very much from that angle of things, you know, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity, really, to be able to express, to be asked, and then to express my views with respect to what is going on, what all is going on. I want to say, too, that I'm not much of one for mudslinging and stoning. So while I recognize its value from time to time, when, when it's necessary, I'm not going to waste my time focusing on the stoning of the government or the personalized comments to people and so on. I'm looking at the perspective of Grenada, where it's at, what is happening, and what can we do, and the direction in which we should move. It's very clear to me that we should certainly be focused up, carrying the country up and forward, and less argument and fight laterally. So that generally is going to be my approach, you know?
I can't wait. I can't wait. So here's a good starting point. You know, we hear all the news about things being so good, how our economy is booming, but the man on the street seems to disagree, because even though it may be booming, he's not feeling it. Are we prospering right now?
Well, let's take a look around and see what we're actually seeing, and whether in fact we are. Let me quote the Prime Minister's actual words on the meeting on this past Tuesday and Wednesday. Yes, that, and I quote, Grenada's economy remains strong. According to CDB, it is the fastest growing economy in the Caribbean.
Wow, okay.
Tourism is doing well. Unemployment rate is 16%. Now, I will have to see that to accept that. You know, the evidence around us, do you see what all is going on around us? And does this picture fit with what there is? As far as I'm concerned, you know, the picture and the statistics look well, but you have to be very careful, as we know. We understood from Senate days that there was always a story going on below the table, in addition to the one on top of the table. And the evidence is before us. People are seeing a lot of trouble here in Grenada, not only the poor ones, and I'm going to give some examples of the level of struggle that we are seeing, but also to even the middle class, people who should be able to manage financially in many little ways, or spend time studying, acquiring skills and so on. Struggle, struggle, struggle. It's really a difficult thing, and are barely being pulled down into even a lower category, having forced themselves up and driven themselves up with effort. They are still seeing a lot of difficulty and a lot of trouble. In fact, I want to quote a very interesting article that came out about 3-4 months ago, and it was on the internet as well, put out by an economist, prominent world-class economist. And he was giving an analysis of things in Grenada. This gentleman was involved in the development of Singapore. So that's to tell you the level of person we are talking about here in assessment. And in his article on Grenada, I'm sure most of you saw it, many of you saw it, he quotes about 8 to 10% maximum. I think it's actually 8% that are enjoying the benefits of
8%.
financial aid. 8%.
Okay, go ahead.
And he says of that, a good half are foreigners who are here and are, have invested or whatever. The rest would be the percentage of the people who are living comfortably, enjoying life and so on. Everybody else is battling on tooth and nail. So you really have to wonder when in fact we get statements like this and figures, where is all of this lining up? How is an economy that is doing so well and the fastest growing in the, it might be the fastest growing, but if you're growing from 1 to 2, it's not, what impact does that have on your people, on what is happening at that level? Certainly, what is purported by the government is not trickling through at all into the level of struggle at the bottom. And it's difficult to get jobs. The jobs are low paying in Grenada, and in chatting with another prominent Caribbean economist just about 5-6 days ago, he was saying that, for example, the jobs we get in Grenada are very low paying jobs. In order to get that economy to turn over, we have to have a lot more high-end employment, and it has to come from high-end skills. If you have good skills, good investors would come in and would employ your people with high levels of skill and so on. But it's a composite picture. You need effort from several areas, but certainly in terms of the skills and what is required, we have a very low-end salary here, which does not allow people to even meet their basic needs, let alone have a little bit of money left over to play with, to build on a room that they could rent onto their house or whatever, So I have a lot of concerns, and it is not being well explained for various reasons. We get in the rose dish and the butter up, but we're not getting the reality of what we're seeing on the ground. Notwithstanding, banks have not opened back or anything like this. I mean, we saw the big closure of the banks in Grenville. And one of the questions I had asked in the Senate at the time is that, do banks close when business is booming? Ask yourself as a Grenadian on the road. Forget about the economists are there and they are planning. I'm talking about the man on the road now. And what are the little details? And I want to talk very much at that level today, where lay people like myself could understand and speak. Banks don't close when business is going well. So the fact that all those banks closed meant we know what's taking place.
It's a signal.
Yeah, it's a signal. And we must be realistic. I mean, I look too at the slow business on a Saturday morning, Saturday close to Carnival, look around and see what the business is like on the street. You certainly are witness to a lot more persons begging in strategic points.
Tell me about it.
Yes, at the pharmacies, at the supermarkets, and so on. And there's concern. Well, it may be that the social services are not clipping into people at that level the way they should, and so on. But that discussion will come up further down the line. The issue is the reality of what is before us. When you visit into the communities, my goodness me, I'm going to share these two particular examples. So there's a young lady whose teeth, she has no teeth because she has no money to replace the ones that were taken out. And I wonder how a person without teeth like this struggles. And she's not an old person by any means. I would put her in her late 30s. But struggle all over. I don't know how people could tuck away millions and there are people without teeth living in the community and have no means to purchase, any means to be able to eat daily, And this is the level of struggle I am talking about. When I visited her home, quote unquote, it was with even greater dismay. She was so proud of her little pad. Not a bed, a bunch of old clothes really was the bed at one corner, neatly put to one corner of her one-room place. And nothing to cook. She had a one-burner stove, but of course no money to buy gas. So she was in fact cooking on a little coal pot and so on. Very contented kind of person, but living at the most basic human level. Another one I want to draw to your attention is a little family that I visited, and this was actually in St. George's, the constituency that I was running for. And I stepped into the house to say hello and so on, and my foot went right through to the ground below. I didn't notice because there was something spread over. And I know they were extremely, little apologetic about it and so on. And I know they felt a little embarrassed, but there was nothing. There were no ground boards. There was nothing there, and you had to sort of walk along the edge to be able to get from one part to the other. This is the level of poverty that exists here. And we have, under the table, we have the arguments and the fight going on about who gets the 100,000 for the next investment. And you hear the stories of the investors who can't get unless they put their percentage into the kitty, you see, for distribution. So it really, and it underlies, people are not foolish. They understand the struggle that is going on. They understand the favoritism, that sort of thing. But we'll talk about issues further down the line. I really wanted to just comment on the level of poverty we see. I want briefly to mention as well that in the town of St. George, there are still so many pit latrines. But we ain't hearing about these things at all, George. We're hearing only that the economy is booming and people outside get the impression that Grenada is thriving. They know otherwise. They know otherwise because they also know that we don't get quite accurately the picture that there really is. We're getting a fixed version in the hope that we could keep people feeling that things are going well, and therefore they could keep what they have, they could keep it going along one step at a time and struggling with it, when in actual fact we can do loads better, if we found a way to work together and get the critical things done. So it's an attempt to pull wool over the eyes of people and also to keep others in power. The politics that we have, that is purported, the Caribbean, and Grenada is no exception at all. In fact, Grenada is a leader in that, is that the politics is about telling people things so you could stay in power. Politics is nothing about that, Politics is about people. And as long as we keep that tone of politics, where we are not focused on the development of the island and the way forward for the island, and we into power and control for ourselves and for our friends and people, and strategies and systems to keep us there permanently. So, I had to laugh because I don't know. I don't see that side of life at all. I don't know if we think we're here forever. Maybe some of us think we're here for 200 years or 300 or whatever, and miss the essence of why you are there, which is to develop the country and develop people. Keep the focus. So we find that very often the strategies that people use and the covering over and the lack of an openness to answer truthfully to people who have hired you as a team of managers. Now, again, I'm commenting generally, George, There's always people on either side of the bench, but the bottom line is that one has to take responsibility for what comes out. And that's one important part, too, of leadership, in that the stick stops here. So therefore, you have to take responsibility for that's what they put you there for, is a vote of confidence. So that it's, when stories come out and they don't quite mesh and fit and so on with the reality, and you don't explain what is happening and so on, but we see the evidence before us. As I say, the unevenness tends to bring mistrust and frustration. It breaks down between people. It leads to anger. It leads to angry encounters. It leads to a lack of peace and will eventually lead, can't continue that way, it will eventually lead to a situation where of wars we've seen in Grenada here, where people just say, I've had enough, I'm not prepared to go that way.
And that's the scary part.
And that's the scary part, you see? So it behoves us to identify these things and talk out. But we're getting to a state where even to talk out is a big risk. I mean, Grenadians have to get up and defend their democracy. You have a right to choose. It is your choice. Nobody could fight you for that. If you chose the government as you did, then that's your choice. But you can't prevent me from having a choice and deciding which way to go and so on. You're encroaching on my democratic rights as a person. And therefore, there is a need to talk and identify and say what is what, as you see it. You see? So, but
you know,
yes.
You got here on time, but there's something you missed that I ran earlier on this morning, and I hope that after you get back home, you'll take a look at the program.
Yes.
I spoke to a gentleman coming from the hospital one day this past week, and you should see the comments of support, in support of what this gentleman said. Here's a gentleman who is angry.
Yes.
He's gotten to the point of anger about conditions in this country right now.
Yes.
Because we're hearing a lot of lip service,
Yes.
which, like you said, the people realize now that what they're hearing has nothing to do with reality. Yeah. So. Franca, let me tell you, we have a lot to talk about this morning. We have touched on the economy, but Franca, there's so much more. We got health, we got education, you know, a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah.
Take your pick. And something, before you pull out of here, something I want you to talk about is the value system in this country today. So take your pick, the value system, agriculture, education, health.
Yes, yes.
Take your pick.
Well, maybe I should start with education, as I look briefly, because that's my pet topic. But as I look over the last year, you know, because I've spent a lot of time, George, just looking and examining what is before us in terms of the general picture, as I mentioned. And again, examining what the people voted for and what in fact is emerging, and whether those two pictures are what they're supposed to be, etc. So in the course of the analysis, I want to say that it could only be foolhardiness, either that or a sinister plan, that one should try to antagonize the teaching profession in this country. You can't build a country without education. It cannot be done. So it is about empowering the minds of people. That's the essence of the thing. And we can't move forward, certainly not like our Caribbean nations, anywhere in the world. You can't move forward without education. People have to be empowered to think, to analyze, to learn skills, to understand clearly where we are going. It is amazing to me, and I sample it ever so often. Take a pop over to Barbados, take a pop over to St. Lucia. And the level at which you'll ask a question in the market, or on the most basic looking people, a vendor or someone on the street who is trying to earn a living, their analysis of what's going on in Barbados is at a totally different level to us in Grenada, and it's their education. They are able to say, you see this here? This government that's in here should do a lot better for us, and here's why. And they will tell you. Now, they like the last Prime Minister, I like him, but he is not taking us where we want to go. So you see what we've done. And this level of thought, here now, we're still at a very basic level of I like the man, or I like the lady. It's got to be more than I like a person if you intend to build a country. This is serious business, and people must be focused and understand clearly what are the choices before them. All of this comes from the empowering of the mind, the ability to think. Plenty is common sense. And if I may say, certainly as a former minister, I have not seen as many good ideas as have come forward coming from just ordinary Grenadians. They will tell you for themselves what the problem is. This and this is not happening to the school children, and this is what needs to happen. We have a clear vision. So the common sense part, as people used to say before, is right there. It's formal education to go with that, because you're not going to get jobs and so on and skills because of it. So I think it's terribly regrettable that they have managed to antagonize and withhold the request of the union and request of the teaching, the GUT and so on, in trying to get certain pension and gratuity and so on in place. Well, my goodness me, the first argument is that you cannot replace what a teacher does in a classroom with money, you know. It can't be done.
True.
You see? So when you stand, for example, in front of a class and you look at the children and you look at the bully, child inclined to bully other children, you know I have to keep an eye on him. I know I have to sort him out. And the little one that's likely to get bullied, and how to get him to strengthen and have more self-awareness and self-assuredness and so on. These kinds of, and the time that you spend with the slow learner, say, let me give her 2 little extra things. These are not things you can pay for with money, you know. This comes from the heart of the person teaching. Therefore, you have to appeal to their Christian values and to their community values to strengthen those children. As I always like to say to them, go in there and teach the people's children. If you need other support, we will get other support for you. But when you're depending on a whole slew of people, the whole nation depends on them. The little boy in the bus as a conductor went to school. The gentleman driving the bus went to school. They all pass in school somewhere. You see, including the Prime Minister, including all others. All of us pass there. So we are very dependent upon our teaching body, particularly at this stage of development, where in fact we're a growing country trying to get out of that. Is the education is going to lead out of us? We holding out not to give them, you can't pay them for the job, man. You cannot pay them for the job. So find ways, if you can't come up with the cash to increase the salaries, which you can't, and we know that Grenada salaries are at the bottom, then there were little incentives that some of the older people mentioned to me, which I knew, my own father had told me about it, whereby you arrange a little loan that they could borrow money against to either build a house or buy a car or without any interest, so that they're able to buy and pay back, or you can't pay them a whole lot of money. You have to look for creative ways. Instead of that, I find us in this whole fight, we end up in a whole fight with the secondary schools as a contest between government and the teachings. You can run sports without teachers. How are you going to run sports without teachers? You need them to motivate, to empower, to encourage, to do everything. They're too critical of team in our development at this stage. So you must have some other reasons for keeping them antagonized, because certainly it's a bad decision as far as I'm concerned. I went last week to Grandad's and to get a takeout lunch. And the little lady, she must have been about 28, 29, said to me, you know, my daughter is 5 years old and she's going into primary school shortly. But guess what? Only 2 books they've given us. And it's $25 for the 2 books. So I said, my dear, you're young in the business. Another 3 years, you're paying $180 for the computer trading. Books, you're paying $140 for the needlework. You're paying big money. How can you allow a program purely for political reasons to fall? Now, the story on the top is that it's still going. We understand clearly what is happening. And let there be no fooling about it. It is an NDC project and it was therefore allowed to fall. Simple as that. You cannot tell me every island in the Caribbean, most of the ones we associate with have book programs. 30 years ago, I was in a book program in the Bahamas with my little ones for the years I was there. And when I reported it as the Minister of Education from Grenada, and that was back in 2009, I said, well, we've gotten a book program, when you're reporting on the things you accomplished and so on. And Antigua looked at me and said, well, we have it for 18 years now. And St. Kitts had it for 14 years. They've all had it. It's not a hullabaloo. It's not a confusion. It's not an up and down. It is a pretty straightforward program. So don't give me story about it wasn't well organized. There's nothing to organize. It is not like a Greater Grenville project that has many parts to it. You know, as if when you have a parking lot, You have rental places. It's a complex project. This is simple. You get your supplier, you have the books. Yes, you have the books. You make the arrangement for them to come. You put in an elaborate plan for your distribution. How they're going to get to the schools, inventories for every school, one person appointed to handle it. The policy and program is well laid out there. You will have to tweak it and make sure it runs.
Sure.
Doesn't run by itself. You don't set up Huggins and then walk away and say, oh, this is where we sell the board and that is where, and you walk away. You have to monitor the sale of the board and everything else. So bringing excuses like it's not properly set up is really a waste of time and an insult to people's intelligence. That is one of the simplest projects to set up. The monitoring must be done, and then in addition to the school monitoring, which the education officers and so on do, and make sure the school appoints the person. We even went as far as making sure there were shelves and so on to accommodate, and where would the books be stored and so on. It takes away very beautifully in the other hand. Dominica had a problem because they just gave, and the minister told me what the problem was, that they just took the books and gave it to the children. There was no inventory arrangement. I smiled to myself because I don't know what you all were thinking. But I remember at the time, no doubt they have sorted it out, and I don't know where they are with theirs at the moment. But the book program provided such a basic and fundamental need, in development. It is a crying shame, really, it is. Because as we understand it, it will undermine your system tremendously. I recall as well during my time that CARICOM brought for us a model program, and they chose of all the countries in the world, Finland, because they felt it most closely resembled what could happen and what was happening in the Caribbean. So they brought in a team from Finland to the Ministers of Education meeting. And in it, they outlined the importance of a book program so that children had books. And very interestingly, they didn't decide whether you had $40 a month to put on books. I had $70 a month across the board. That's what CARICOM's team explained to us. The book program, every child was given a meal, one meal. Everybody was given 2 uniforms. Your parents could get more and so on. And if you were more than 2 miles away from school, you could get free transport.
Yeah.
And what they explained is that with that thrust, which they kept in line regardless of what government came in and what government didn't come in, education rises over that. They kept it online, and according to the chief person that came with them, who was one of the ministers, explained that it took them 38, 39 years. But he says everybody enjoys a certain high level of education, of living, a good standard of living. Now, they may not have very wealthy people, as he explained, but everybody could afford a little trip to Italy, a little trip to next door. The whole standard of living of the country raised because of their commitment and their thrust. They also pointed out that their teachers, you couldn't teach there at primary level without a master's degree. You must have knowledge plus skills. And that was the other part they insisted for. So we understand that you need to empower your teachers and educate them, help them in whatever way to get the qualifications, and you need to provide certain amenities. With that in line, the struggle is well on its way, nearly over, because your people are getting empowered. And as a result, everybody has a higher standard of living.
All right.
So,
Franca,
yes.
there's a lot more. There's a lot more, but
There's a lot more.
something I really like to do is bring my audience into this. There are people who've been listening to you very intently here, and they're sharing their views, and I want you to hear those views because some of them you may want to comment on.
Yes.
First of all, Anthea says, "A lady of class, always." I hope that gets you feeling good.
Thank you.
Chris Davies says, "Good to hear you, Franca. Been missing you." Jerry Marichaux is saying good morning. Sharon Roberts says, "The best, and best is spelled in capitals, the best minister for education Grenada ever had." Margaret, she's blushing. She's blushing, Margaret.
Thank you. I am honored with all these fine comments. Oh boy.
Kelvin Howell says, my choice for leader of the NDC. Please run, Ms. Burns. Kelvin, don't jump the gun. I intend to get to that in just a wee bit. Give me a break, Kelvin. But thanks anyway.
Oh, God.
Joyce C. Smith is saying good morning to you. Somebody named Danley Alexis, I'm sure you know.
Yes, I know Danley.
Danley says, good morning, Franca. Very
Thank
happy
you.
to see and hear you. It's been a long time.
Thank you.
Let your huge experience nationally, regionally, and internationally, and the connections that you have and have made, and now your maturity, be your guide to take you up the mantle of the leadership of the NDC. Sister Claudette Joseph, as a woman, has been single-handedly championing the cause.
Yes.
Hope you can be consistent with your position on behalf of the people. Ryan Jaban says, Grenada has currently 32% poverty and the highest extreme poverty rate in the Eastern Caribbean, with a rate of 13%, albeit highest unemployment rates. And that quote came from BorgenProject.org. Adrian Phillips says, I say, Franca for Prime Minister next election. We need a change. Ernesto Jose. Couldn't you have a simple name like George Grant? Ernesto Jose says, Ms. Bernadine, I heard you. And I know you meant well. But where is the NDC? The only voice I'm hearing in the wilderness is Claudette Joseph. Danley Alexis says, when women are the best persons to get an objective view of what is happening. Now, hold on a minute. Women are the best persons to get an objective view of what's happening in the country. Ernesto says, I agreed, either her or Claudette Joseph. The men are sleeping. Sharon says, whoa, W-O-W, women of wisdom.
Lord.
Chris Davies says, she had stuff going on, but she's back. Explaining why we weren't seeing much of you. Alana Logie says, we prefer our children to look nice, but have no books in the free bags they're giving us. That way, they can have us right where they want us.
That's right.
All right. Yes, sir. Folks, I'm really glad that I played that segment for you this morning. And judging by what I see out there, you folks have been touched. Let me share a couple of comments on Facebook. John Bruno says, Franca gives me a lot of hope. She has good insight into what's happening, what the country is going through, and the path we must follow. I think her years of experience in the administrative sector give her an edge over many of her male counterparts. Hope the trumpeters within the party give her the support. Don't we all, John? Michelle Forsythe agrees with John and says, can I give your comment 1,000 likes? 1,000 times. Or can I like your comment 1,000 times? Donna Joseph is saying hi to somebody she admires a lot, Franca. And John comes back here and says, the people who should be touched by the social programs are surely not considered. It bleeds me to see the monies being given to people who are in good financial standings. Here in Petit Martinique, 90% of those receiving these benefits don't deserve them. Then again, what can we expect when you see the head of the SEED program dining at Mount Helicon? Okie doke. Spice Babes is happy to see Miss Bernadine. Donna Joseph says this regime isn't about empowering this nation because they need everyone to be dependent on them and to keep them in power. So they are killing the sectors of empowerment. For example, education, health, agriculture. Without those sectors, we become dependent on the regime. Kipling Francis says, it's very difficult for some people to understand Franca. She speaks truth in a very simple, understandable way. And that's a problem for many who get hooked on lies and intentional disguise and misinformation. Blind loyalty leads nowhere desirable. John Bruno says, empowering the people is not in their textbook. We have a branch of TAMCC here in Carriacou for many years, and still nothing is done to meet the needs of the students. Many of us can't afford to send our kids to Grenada. It hurts my heart. Sharon says, when will our people in Petit Martinique wake up and accept that the government does not care about them? They only know Petit Martinique when it's an election year. They keep playing the people against each other. Where is the senator for Petit Martinique? How many do they have from Carriacou? Just saying. Well, so says Sharon. Spice Babes Duncan says, Miss Franca, my mom passed on, but she loved you. She loved your personality. And watching you speak on TV. The book program is very effective, but I believe it should be restructured so that the kids and their parents will take better care of those expensive books. I've been responsible for book distribution at a secondary school in the past, and it bleeds me to see the condition those books are returned in. Yeah. You know, folks, even better than watching and listening to Franca this morning is sitting here and reading the comments. It gives me confidence, it gives me hope that we do have thinking people, independent thinking people out there. You are the ones who give this country a ray of hope. Please, keep it up. Don't give up. Quick break. Come back, wrap it up.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
GrenLec Community Partnership Initiative.
This is not the first time that GrenLec, through the GCPI, has responded positively to TAMCC, and we are always appreciative for the support. TAMCC, like the GCPI, is geared to service the community. As a college, we cannot accomplish our mission of fostering Grenada's development through education without meaningful partnerships from other community members. GrenLec has been a leader in this regard.
GrenLec, energizing our community.
Alrighty, folks, just about time to pull the curtain down, but let's do so with a parting word from the Holy Scriptures. And this morning we come to you from the fourth chapter of James, 13 to 17. Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money. Why? You do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you want to be saying, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you are boasting in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. If anyone then knows the good that they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is a sin for them. Check it out. James chapter 4, verses 13 to 17. But dear friends, that's going to do it for us on this Thursday morning. Tell you what, yes, we still have tomorrow morning to get together for another Good Day Grenada. It's going to be the final one before Carnival, because remember, we're not going to be with you on Monday and Tuesday of next week, okay? Please. However, tonight, I do hope that you'll find the time to join us. I'm not yet sure, and we're never really sure until just before the program starts, who is going to be with us. But I know that Bev's going to be there. Chances are Jerry is going to be in St. Vincent. Margaret's going to be in New York. Catherine in London. We'll probably also have Athy Martin, who's in Dominica, and quite a character. Dwight Astafan, he's in St. Kitts. And then you never know, people from various islands may be popping up as well. So please, 8 o'clock this evening. And of course, on Sunday morning, please join us for next week's, that's why we have to say it. Sunday's the first day of the week. Next week's edition of Sundays with George Grant. Randall Robinson says, what? So you mean you have Franca in the studio and you're not going to 12 noon? Oh, Randall. Randall, wake up. That's what happens to people who show up late and then speak without thinking or inquiring. Randall, what you saw this morning was actually an excerpt from this past Sunday's edition of Sundays with George Grant. We actually had Franca sitting in that chair here for a little over an hour and a half. Huh? In other words, about half of the Sunday program was Franca Bernadine. So Randall, facts. Stop and think. You hear or you see something, try and find out the real facts before reacting. Please, my friend, please. Pilgrims, have a great day. See you this evening, 8 o'clock. God bless you.